Welcome back, everybody, to the Travi Wavi. I'm your affable host, Travis Eason, coming to you live in the 325 downtown Abilene, the storybook capital of America. We produce this show every Thursday morning around 10 a.m. We invite you to come on down, stop next door, grab some coffee at the Majestic Coffee Shop, pop over here to the Neon Parrot Studios, and catch some of this amazing, authentic, and locally produced content. Oh, we have a lot to talk about today. I've got another wonderful guest that we're going to get into here in just a minute and meet Danny Jaymes. But I also wanted to put a little reminder out there that if you're watching this and you're in the Abilene area, today kicks off CAF Festival, the Children's Art and Literacy Festival, held downtown Abilene every year on this weekend. And I think you can still come on down and grab some tickets. They are really affordable, and there is a ton of activities happening all over downtown today. It's great for the kids. Okay, that's our plug for the CAF Festival. We're really glad that that is a part of the Storybook Capital of America. And we're going to get into our guest. Danny Jaymes, welcome to the podcast.
Hello.
Glad that you're here.
I'm glad to be here.
So, Danny, we're going to ask all sorts of questions about you, but the first question that you get asked on the show is, do you have any siblings?
Do I have any siblings? I got two. I'm the oldest of three.
Okay.
Yep, I got a younger sister and a younger brother. My sister's birthday was yesterday, by the way. Happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday,
and
sister.
And today is my mom's birthday.
Happy birthday,
so
Mom.
Happy birthday, Mom. First and foremost, before anything else, I love my mother. So happy birthday to my mom.
That's great. And a little brother, too?
Mm-hmm. Got a little brother.
Where are they all at?
Every single one of my family is up in New York, minus an uncle and his family who are here in Texas somewhere.
Okay, so how did you make it to Texas?
Ah, man, I've been all over the world, Travis. Made it to Texas. I came here from Missouri. I was with the B2 program, and there's your segue right there. I was a military man for 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
Got out back in 2018, and I've been here in Abilene ever since. Made a kind of a homestay here in Abilene, and when I go out on the road, I always come back here.
So you chose Abilene to be sort of home base post-military career.
That's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I started my first ever show. Crow, I know, mentioned this. I know he mentioned this. His first ever show was here at the Neon Parrot.
Mm-hmm.
My first ever show was here at the Neon Parrot. And you notice the theme that's going on back and forth here is Sam gave both of us the chance to kind of start off with our music dreams here. And since I had a bit of a following here, I figured I'd stay local once I got out. And that's been the story ever since.
Very cool. So you're a musician. I mean, I know you're a musician, but our audience might not know that you're a musician.
I do it for a living.
Yeah.
This is my primary source of income.
A working artist in Abilene.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about all the talent that's here all the time, and you're one of those people that are out there busking, playing shows, selling merch.
Yep, all over the place.
Your face out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't even begin to tell you how many different places I've seen you play over the years.
I've played, to my tally, not including open mics or anything else, I've played about 878 shows in Abilene, Texas.
878.
Yeah.
In Abilene.
And over the span of the last 8 years, since 2017.
Incredible. That's incredible. That's a lot of gumption, hard work, elbow grease.
A lot of elbow grease.
Yep. And most of the shows have been single? Just, I mean, like...
Yeah. There's a guy around here by the name of Happy Fat. Michael Gilbert, if anybody's ever heard of Happy, I've got to thank him, too, for helping get me in this scene. Him and Trip Mathis as well. He's another guy. Happy Fat coined the term acoustic rage.
Acoustic rage.
Happy Fat coined that term when he first ever heard me over here at the Neon Parrot back in 2017. I opened up. It was my first ever show. It was for Desdemona, and I had a guy by the name of Jonathan Hester on that bill, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first ever show, and Happy saw me after he kicked my guitar case off the back of the stage. I remember, I totally remember that story. It's like, who the hell's this guy? And then his old geezered ass gets up on stage and just kicks it off the back of the stage. And then he found out who I was. He went to the corner, and I was sipping on a what was it? It wasn't it was a crackberry. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Comes up to me and he goes, "Who leaves their guitar up on stage?" I looked at him, I said it was me, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," And then he started being all nice to me and whatnot afterwards. But yeah, that was Happy there.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So you've played for the last 8 years all around town, and you've also put together a band?
Yeah, I put together a band. We just came up with the name Burner. Burner was the name of my favorite song off of my favorite band's album. My favorite band, of all time is Motorhead. That is unquestionable. Lemmy is my role model. That is without any question whatsoever. And the album name was called Bastards. And my favorite song on that album was called Burner. It connects very well. Burner's also slang for a 9mm. It was connected with the heritage of my previous occupation in the military, so everything kind of tied in.
I like it.
Started out as a cover band kind of thing.
Cool.
You know, did punk rock stuff, and we played Grain Theory here twice, and we've never played a show. Fun fact, we have never played a show above 50 degrees.
That
Ever.
is a fun fact.
As a band, no.
It's always cold out when Burner shows up.
Always, man. Always. And we're looking to rectify that this summer when we do the album release. Date to be determined.
Cool. And then just this last, winter, y'all went to Chicago to do some recording?
Yeah. We got our producer, Sean Mackey. We ended up going up to Chicago, and this was completely crowdfunded, by the way. So real quick, to everybody who donated to the cause, I appreciate every single one of you. We were able to raise about $2,500 off of donations, crowdfunding donations. And we were able to hightail it in a van, just us in a van, hightail it up to Chicago, 17-hour drive there, 17-hour drive back. Hopped up on C4. This is not a product plug. I'm not endorsed. Hopped up on this stuff.
But
this worked.
C4, if you guys want to sponsor the show, might be more than willing to talk
This
to you
worked
about
wonders, man.
Good. And when was that? That was January?
That was in March.
Oh,
that was
in
the
March,
first week
okay.
of March. We went up there. And we recorded from the 4th through the 6th, if I remember correctly. Went there from the 2nd through the 8th, and we recorded from the 4th through the 6th. We only had 3 days to get that album down. And it was recorded to tape, too. It was analog recording. No computers, nothing like that. And we had to get it in one take. We one-took it as a band. Every single song that you're going to hear on this album is a live take of the entire band together, not recording tracks separately.
Very cool.
Or anything like that. We went old school.
I like that. And
Old
you said
school
the
punk rock.
release date is yet to be determined,
Yet
but
to be
sometime this summer.
Yet to be determined. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the mixes are done.
Okay.
But that's yet to be determined. We recorded at Electrical Audio at Steve Albini's place. Recently, actually, a year departed now. Steve Albini. Yeah, I think he passed back in June.
Okay.
Almost a year ago.
Very cool. Very cool. So, any more shows planned for the band?
For the band, no, not at the moment. For myself, I got a show at Potosi tonight.
Okay.
And then where they have an all-you-can-eat buffet, salad buffet, and a catfish bar. That's that going on tonight. And then Saturday, I'm out at Sunhouse Brewery.
Okay, for the 4-year anniversary.
For their 4-year anniversary from 4 to 6. I'm out there. Alyssa was nice enough to invite me out there. She picked from the hat. She found that no one else was available, and so she asked me.
Very cool.
And so that's how that worked.
No, it's good. Sam and Mary are awesome out there, and I'll try to swing out there Saturday for the 4-year anniversary.
I like to think I developed a good relationship with them out there too, man. I love playing out there.
Sam's pretty rock and roll guy too. He appreciates rock and roll.
And I love living the rock and roll lifestyle, man.
Well, you are a rock and roller, bro.
And I'll say this confidently and hedonistically, I absolutely am. I am, and I own that too.
I like that.
You know, I'm not good at a lot of things, but what I am good at is being a rock and roll guy.
So you're in the military, you're stationed at Dias.
Yes, that was my last duty station.
And then, were you always musically inclined? Was this something that has just been a whole part of your life?
Yeah, I was classically trained.
Okay.
I played trombone, was my first ever instrument.
Trombone.
I played trombone. Yeah, I played all-state in trombone.
Very cool.
Third chair because I wasn't that good. I was good, but I wasn't that good. Played third chair trombone in New York. That's where I'm from. I'm originally from Rochester, New York.
Okay.
And I had my third trombone slot up there. And then really all I did was I took up guitar because I wanted to get popular with the ladies. And when that didn't work, I joined the military, So that's essentially what that comes down to, man.
That's great.
You know?
So how long did you serve in the military?
9 years.
And thank you for your service.
Yep.
And thanks for coming to Abilene.
Yeah, I got here and I got my own personal reasons led me here to Texas, and I got stationed here as my last duty station. Yeah. Before that, I was in the B2 program over at Whiteman.
Okay.
I got read in over there, and then before that, I lived in England for 3 years.
Okay.
At RAF Mildenhall and did all kinds of tours all over there in Europe. And before that, my first ever duty station was right down the way here in Clovis, in New Mexico, Llano Estacado, 6084 at Cannon Air Force Base.
Cool.
That was my first ever duty station. And then multiple tours in Afghanistan where I just basically sat around and didn't do jack shit.
Nice. Well, that's nice. And you were playing music the whole time you were in the Air Force also?
I had one show that I ever did when I was in the military.
Okay.
I had one ever show that I did, and it was a place called Lowestoft with my buddy by the name of Zed. He was a SEER guy, survival, evasion, resistance, and an escape specialist. and we played a show at a joint called the Green Room or something like that. Ironically, we have a green room here, or did have a green room here, over in Lowestoft. It's the easternmost city in England.
Okay.
And we played a blues gig over there, where all I had to do was play E, A, and B.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Cool.
I played bass. I didn't do anything. I didn't sing. I didn't play guitar. I didn't do a thing. I just sat there. I played on a bass.
Nice.
That was given to me by the drunk dude over in the corner. You know?
So, really, your musical career didn't kick off until you left the military.
Yeah. No, I realized, well, because my first ever show was in 2017, right? And I got out in November of 2018. So, like, I proved to my, I'd say proved is a very loose word, but I showed myself that I was able to play in front of an audience and not completely butcher myself, you know? And so I had a year and a half to really prepare for that. And I kind of fine-tuned and wrote some originals while I was over on my last deployment in Bagram over there in Afghanistan. I wrote the entire first album of mine while I was over there on that tour in about 4 months. Came back and recorded it with a condenser mic in a cardboard box, and it sounds like absolute dog shit, which is exactly what I was going for.
Cool.
So, yeah, it's borderline unlistenable.
I love that.
Straight up.
So
That way you come to the live show.
Yeah, that's right. So, what's your creative process like when you're writing?
My creative process is I don't have one.
Okay.
It kind of just comes and goes. I sit there and lyrics come into my head. I'll think of a hook or something like that, and I'll kind of work off of that hook. And then I'll throw in like a melody that I've been working on that I just feel works. And, you know, anytime you go around to a bar, you know, you go around, you ask people like, what's Danny doing? I'm usually sitting in the corner working on something. I'm writing something. I always got a notebook in my hand, something like that. And a lot of people can attest to that, you know. I'm usually sitting in the corner. I'm writing down whatever comes into my head. And, you know, I'm not a gifted, what's the word? I'm not a prodigy or anything like that. So it takes me multiple attempts, and then finally chisel into the marble enough, I'll get a lyric or two.
Very cool.
You know, don't really have a process. Never
Okay.
really have had one.
But just keep grinding at it, keep pushing on it, and then see what falls out.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. So you started playing covers? Or did you start with originals? Or
No,
a mix of both?
I started with covers. And then, as everybody knows, that I'm pretty much against cover bands and tribute acts here, so on and so forth, and I wear that proudly. I'm a very big fan of original artists, and I'm a very big fan of people pushing their work and getting their work seen by other people in a community. I understand that tribute acts sell, cover artists, there's a necessity for them everywhere you go, so on and so forth, but it's just not for me. You know, I'd rather hear what's truly in somebody's heart than watch somebody try to imitate somebody else and only try to imitate other people. You can throw covers and so on and so forth in there sporadically, sprinkle it in. But if it's nothing but covers, man, I'm not interested.
Yeah, you're just more like a jukebox, and not necessarily an artist.
It's completely artificial.
Yeah, I hear that.
You know,
I'm hard pressed to think of any covers that I've heard you play, with the exception of one by Tiger Army, which is pretty badass cover.
yeah, that was Pain, man. I went and actually saw them live down in Dallas. I remember that show too, and I was inspired to just slow it down a little bit on an acoustic and do my thing that way. So Pain is it's a great song.
It's a great band.
It's a wonderful band, man.
Tiger
Nick
Army's a
13 is great. Nick 13,
killer.
by the way, the front man of the band, has some awesome solo stuff. He kind of went in a bit of a Nashville country direction, almost sort of like one of my role models, Mike Ness from Social Distortion. Kind of went in that direction, and he did his own solo ventures too. He's got a couple music videos out there as well. Sounds great. Steel guitar, whole 9 yards, everything.
I like that. So, I mean, as you've been just playing, you're a working artist. This is what you do. You don't have a job. You're not working at the coffee shop.
Nope.
You're not delivering packages.
Nope.
You're not working at Walmart. You're just playing guitar and selling merch and self-promoting.
Yep.
What's the hardest part about that?
Literally the lack of acceptance, and every single time you go and play a show, you are selling yourself. I would argue that, and I say this with full confidence, a working musician is one of the most versatile employees you could ever have if you ever go for a legitimate job. They're their own marketing manager, their own promoter, their own obviously you got to play this stuff, you know, you got to manage logistics, everything that comes along with it. I mean, you're no stranger to this. You grew up in the Midwest, if I'm not mistaken. You grew up in a punk scene over there in the Midwest. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, so the DIY mentality has always been there, and you just got to work at it hard enough. I say that, it's so cliche, but it's absolutely true.
Yep.
You got to want it. You got to work at it. You got to get used to the word no, and you have to get used to what the back turn from everybody when you play a show, man. It's going to happen. 90% of the crowd is going to give you the back turn. They're not even going to give you the time of day, or they're going to keep doing this
Yep. Yep.
in the middle of your set, and you're just going to want to go over to the table and punch them, but that's just how it is. The hardest part about it is the lack of acceptance, but at the same time, I embrace it and I attack full on because I know that those people who aren't listening to me right now are going to remember the leather jacket or something about me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my brash attitude. I don't care. I genuinely don't care, but I take that as and I wear it as a badge of honor, honestly.
Would you say that you've sculpted this personality as this artist? As you've come into your artistry, would you say that you've sculpted your look and your personality, or is this something that you just donned immediately and have run with?
No, I donned it immediately.
Okay.
Yeah, right from the get-go, I was wearing nothing but black. The leather jacket came along back in around like 2018, 2019, something like that. And there's a guy around here by the name of Terry Taragosa, who's a regular here at the open mics, and he plays around town too. But Terry coined the term the leather poet, which I've ran with since then as well. So that image has been kind of adopted as well. So I've gotten everything from Acoustic Rage to the Abilene Street Punk by some random drunk guy outside of Fat Bosses to the leather poet from Terry Taragosa.
That's great.
So everything that's on my page used to describe me is from other people's descriptions. And I kind of think that's the best way to go about getting a brand for yourself, is just letting other people make the decision as to who you are while authentically being yourself at the same time.
That's really powerful.
You know?
Yep.
Again, you got nothing to worry about as long as you are who you are. As long as you're being true to yourself, everything else will fall into place. People will give you a label here and there. To some people, I'm just some pretentious asshole, and I don't really care. You know, some people see me, they're just like, this guy's so try hard, so on and so forth. And good, at least you remember me. Doesn't bother me at all.
Yep. You're a walking advertisement for yourself.
You have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be.
Yeah. That's good, though.
110%. You always have to advertise yourself. Any working artist who looks at me dead in the face and tells me that they're not in this for themselves or the money is full of shit. Because that's exactly what artistry is about. It's hedonism. It's selling yourself in some way, shape, or form.
Interesting. I like
You
that.
may not. What I'm getting at is just like, I don't need a mansion and I don't need like this lifestyle of opulence. I don't need it. I don't need to be affluent. I don't need any of that. Just having rent 6 months in advance would be great for me.
Sure.
That's my idea of success. I don't need that.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's just how it is. That's where I'm at. That's my mentality.
I like that, and I'm trying to maybe unpack with you, like, I'm just trying to go back to that time, like when you're segueing out of a regimented military career where there's like safety and a long-term pension and health care and all these things.
Yep.
And to say, no, I think I'm gonna be a busking. I say busking in the sense that, I mean, you have no problem just going out and sitting on the street with your guitar.
Not at all.
If there's not a gig for you that night, you're happy just to still go out and play and see if you can sell a T-shirt, make a few bucks.
That's how you got to be. It's a daily thing, man. You can't be doing this thing sitting down every single day. I mean, that complacency will kill you. It's a daily thing. It's no different than anybody who runs their own business, whether, Sam or yourself or somebody else around here, Grain Theory, Fat Boss, anybody who runs their own business around here. It's a 7-day work mentality. You can't turn it off. I say turn it off because I love what I do. It's that easy. I found something I love to do, and I do it every single day. And I don't have a problem going up and talking to people and just interacting with them. And, conversations lead to gigs, or conversations lead to helping people out and establishing good relationships. It doesn't really matter,
Correct me if I'm mistaken here, but I feel like we've talked about this maybe, that you're one of the, you mentioned Happy Fat, you mentioned Trip, Travis, Matt, Terry Knight.
Oh, yeah.
All these regular musicians that are part of our community that are regularly playing a different circuit or whatever.
Yeah.
But you strike me as one of the, like, I feel like you kind of went out and created your own circuit.
Straight up.
Am I wrong about that?
No.
Talk to me about that. How'd you come about that?
Created my own circuit in what context? What are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Well, just for playing music. Like I'm gonna draw a blank. Tokyo Fusion.
Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, like just all these other locations
Yeah.
that hadn't had live music before.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I did that with. Proudly did that with Tokyo Fusion. Myself, Jonathan Hester, and a guy by the name of Joe Dean. Joe Dean's the only one who's there now.
Okay.
But Tokyo Fusion, I had that residency for about 3 years. Winchester was another place, pioneered music over there. East Ada Boozery before it closed down, pioneered music over there. Where else? Shoot, I played so many. I had a residency over at the Black Crow Bar before it went back to Shooters.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't have live music before there either. You know, like I've played so many places, and you've had to. I can't tell you how many times people have told me that you can't make a living in Abilene off of music.
But you can.
And I kind of just do it out of spite at this point.
Yeah.
You know, until I get picked up somewhere else and I go play somewhere else. But right now, literally everything I'm doing is out of spite and for my own, you know, haha, ultimately, because I've had so many people say to my face that it's completely pointless trying to make a living in Abilene off of music, you know.
Well,
It's not
That's
impossible.
the attitude. I mean, that is the general attitude. But you know, hopefully through the Travi Wavi and through some of these other media things, we're trying to showcase and show that like we're a rich, culturally, I think, significant little pocket in the middle of nowhere, and that there's a lot of people here that work in the arts.
There are hundreds of local acts here in Abilene,
Yeah.
Texas. Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of them.
It's crazy. There's a ton of talented people here, and my guest last week, Robert Green, that was something that we discussed too. Just this idea that trying to find a way to promote the opposite of what that attitude is.
Right.
You know, the opposite of, oh, you'll never make it in Abilene as an artist, instead of like, oh, what, you came from Abilene? Man, what a great musical artistic supply house of talent that you guys have there. You know,
Right.
look, Danny Jaymes came out of Abilene, you know.
Yep. That's what they're going to say one day.
Yep.
And here's the thing about that, too. There are people who have made it here out of Abilene, but it's all red dirt and it's country guys who have made it out of here, right? I think if my history is correct, I'm not an Abilene, but I think if my history is correct, Jessica Simpson came out of here. Jessica Simpson was
think
born
that's
here.
right.
Kind of, her origin was here. I don't
Yeah,
know.
and maybe
but
then Dallas or
and then she went to
something.
Dallas
Yeah.
or whatever, something like that. And then Aaron Watson came out of
Aaron
here. I don't know
Watson,
much.
yeah.
I honestly don't know much about Aaron Watson, to be real with you. I'm not a big country guy. I played Outlaws and Legends one time and pissed off the judging panel, and it was great. You know,
Yep.
played a song called "No Honor Among Thieves." It was a song about Martin Shkreli, Pharma Bro, by the way. Took the price of Daraprim from $13.50 a pill to $750 as an HIV mitigating drug, and hedge funded the shit out of that. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, but yeah, what I'm getting at is these cats who made it out of Abilene have generally done red dirt and they've done country, and I don't do that. Everybody knows me for the Johnny Cash because you know, you got to be a chameleon around here. You know, being an elitist is exhausting when it comes to music too. That's another point I'm trying to make as well. You know, everyone's like, well, you got to play all the, stick to one thing, stick to one thing. Hell no.
Yeah,
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do.
Yeah, it's a weird, you know. So, live music and theater are similar beasts, but they're not the same. But there's a lot of similarities, and being a theater nerd myself,
Yeah.
and you know, raising my kids in that sort of artsy home, and you know, my son, he's a musician, and,
Yeah.
and so one of the things,
Cash in the change.
cash in the change. One of the things I always say to him, and now I say to the band too, and they're starting to get it, is dance, monkey, dance. And it's sort of the same thing in theater. Like, you're just a meat puppet on stage, and you know, however that suits your ego, I don't know. But at the end of the day, you're a performer, and whether you're choosing to perform what you want to perform and put yourself out there in whatever way, you're a monkey that's dancing on stage for our entertainment.
Yeah.
And whether or not, you know, are you good? Well, did you entertain the crowd?
Dude, seriously, I can go off on an entire rant on this whole thing.
Go for it.
Okay. You asked.
You got the platform, buddy.
All right, no problem. Nobody wants to go to a live music venue and see some dude in a black shirt and jeans playing the same shit they've heard a million times over. They want someone who's there and to be entertaining. They want somebody to look at. They want somebody to move around on stage, doing something that is different from the status quo. And they see a dude in leather jacket playing Johnny Cash, everything from Johnny Cash to Motorhead,
Mm-hmm.
and talking to the audience and involving themselves and talking to, and not berating them, but talking to them and
Mm-hmm.
engaging, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
When I go to a live show, I don't want to see some dude standing there lifeless on stage just looking at the crowd soulless for like he's played 2,000 shows and is completely jaded by life. It's fucking boring.
Yep.
It's just like
Yep.
snooze fest. I'm not sorry. A lot of bands around here do that. A lot of
Yep.
bands around every city
Every
do
city,
that.
yep.
And the thing about it is, they think they're the next greatest thing. You're not. You're just boring. You're fucking boring. I'm not sorry.
Yep.
I'm not I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna watch you. And if you're just looking around, like looking at your feet, not engaging with the crowd, and just playing this, I'm not gonna do it.
Yep.
You're boring.
Yep.
Get better.
Go-
110%. Be better.
Come down to Neon Parrot Studios on Sunday evenings and practice at the singer-songwriters open mic.
Which
and
Terry has been running here for the last almost over 5 years.
I think
Correct me
it's
if I'm wrong.
6.
I think it's almost 6 years now. Terry's been running the open mic here every Sunday.
Yeah.
And there are original artists. There's some regulars here who
Yep.
show up. MC Josiah and Autumn and all those cats, you
Yeah.
know. And who else? Greg Young's been a regular here recently. He's been co-writing with Terry. Luna shows up here and plays all the time. I'm trying to remember all the regulars now that I started with one.
Well, there's a bunch of them, and
There's
so
a bunch of them who
forgive us
show
for-
up here.
I don't remember your name.
Vincent Dawson shows up here every now and
Yep.
then. He does like the jazz kind of
Yep.
thing too. He's been playing around here a while. But the thing is, man, yeah, you can come out here, you can play. This is what open mic is for. This is an original songwriters open mic. I have no problem plugging original artists. I would love to promote original artists as much as I can. Terry Knight is a facilitator for those crowds, 110%. She does. She has 3 every single day on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Her books are filled trying to promote original music here in Abilene, Texas.
Yep.
She's over at Mezzanines. She is at Cranes on Saturdays, Mezzanines on Friday, Cranes on Saturday, here Sunday night.
Yep.
And shoot, that girl, she's starting to take off in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of her for that.
Mm-hmm.
Good for her.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm of the mentality where I want to see somebody win out
Yeah.
of Abilene, Texas. It doesn't have to be me.
Yeah.
Would I mind if it was me? Hell no.
That'd be great.
But it'd be great if it was me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be real with you. Every musician thinks that. But if somebody else wins out of here and goes and tours the country and the international, hell, that'd be the greatest thing in the world,
Yeah.
man.
Yep. Anything to put a little bit more spotlight on the 325. I agree with you.
There's a cat I opened up for multiple times, J.A. Lee's son, with Dexter and the Moonrocks.
Dexter and the Moon Rocks.
Opened up for them multiple times.
Yep.
There's a buddy of mine, Andrew Carey. He's a bass player for this band called Treaty Oak Revival.
Yep. Good
You
band
know,
also.
and these cats, like I've played shows with them. I've opened for them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it is possible to get out of here.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
110%, but you gotta put the work in, and you can't be fucking boring.
Yep. No, you
You
gotta,
can't.
You gotta perform. You gotta dance, monkey. You gotta dance.
You just can't, man.
Yep.
And I'm not sorry if somebody asks me my opinion. I'm gonna tell you straight up.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep.
And I'm not saying it to be a dick. I'm saying it because I think you can be better. I
Well,
can be better. Every single show I play, I can be
for
better.
Sure. Yeah, we can all get better. You know, I think for me as an audience member and a critic is that I want to believe you when I'm watching you.
Yeah.
You know, whether I like the song or not, that's kind of whatever. I want to believe you. I want to when I watch you and listen to you or any other artist, any performing artist, if I don't feel that connection of authenticity coming from you, then I'm gonna tune you out.
Dude, straight up. That is a line I use a lot too. Do you know where that line came from, by the way? I don't know if you remember, if you even know. Well, it took me a second. I heard it and then I started using it. I heard it from the 2005 movie Walk the Line.
Okay.
There's a scene in there. Joaquin Phoenix played Johnny Cash in that movie, one of my favorite musicians as well. I don't know if you can tell, Man in Black. Anyway, so Joaquin Phoenix plays Johnny Cash, and he's there with Sam Phillips, quote unquote, the guy who plays Sam Phillips, the owner of Sun Records at the time, there in 1955. And he auditions with, what the hell is it? I forget the gospel song. Anyway, he sings this gospel song that's been heard 1,000,000 times. He goes, I can't market gospel anymore, Mr. Cash. We've heard that song 1,000 times, just how you sings it, kind of thing, right? And then he goes, let me bring it home. He goes, bring it home? Okay. He looked at him and he goes, I don't believe you. That's exactly what he said in the movie. That's a movie line right there.
Mhm.
And then he goes, I remember this quote too. He goes, if you was out there lying in the dirt and you had time to sing one song that people will remember before your dirt, you're telling me you're going to sing that same Jimmy Davis tune. That same Jimmy Davis tune, that gospel song about how you're going to shout it. We've heard 1,000 times before. Are you going to sing something different, something you felt? Because I'm telling you right now, that's what the people want to hear.
Yeah.
That's the song that truly saves people. And then he played, I don't know if it's true or not, but he played Folsom Prison Blues afterward.
Okay.
Right? And Folsom Prison came from that as a song he wrote when he was in the Air Force.
I like it.
When he was in Germany as a radio operator or technician, whatever. But what I'm getting at is, and I'm touching on what you're saying is, and you're 110% correct about it, is that people need to believe you. They need to believe you.
Yep.
And what better way to be believed than to be yourself?
Absolutely.
Because people aren't stupid. They're going to see right through you in a heartbeat.
So I don't know how much you're on social media. I have a little bit of brain rot and scroll a little too often sometimes, but there's been sort of a call to arms, what I've been seeing from different artists and critics from around the country, that, just we're like in this interesting time politically, socially, economically, and we need our artists to be writing, singing, shouting, crying about this, whatever your artistic take is on these current times. I feel like there's been a call to arms for more folk, for more truth to be poured out. Just hearkening back to like the 60s with Bob Dylan and just that whole cultural revolution time. Do you relate to any of that? Do you have any thoughts about
Every
any of
day.
that? Yeah.
Every day I have thoughts about that kind of thing, and I don't even need to be careful.
No.
The thing about it is, it's just like, have you ever met an honest politician? Because I haven't.
No.
Because I haven't.
No.
They try to be honest, and the ones who are, there's certain different types of politicians, but ultimately they're all dishonest, whether they mean to be or not, whether it's because of ignorance, sociopaths, or just straight up douchebags. And I've never met an honest politician once in my life. I fought a war under Obama, and I fought a war under Trump. A Democrat and a Republican, and it was the same resource war. And I'm getting on my soapbox here. This isn't you, this is me. So make sure I have to preface that. That whole war in Afghanistan was a joke. 110%. It was a resource war under the guise of bringing democracy to a patriarchal history country who didn't want it. Okay? And it was there to keep an strategic eye on all of our adversaries at the time. Afghanistan's right in the center, surrounded by Iran, Pakistan, India, China, North Korea, and all of and Russia right up there to the northeast. It's a central location that we were able to keep an eye on under the guise of bringing democracy and training the Afghan National Army. And as soon as we left, the Taliban and Al-Qaeda immediately took that country right back over. All it was a guise.
Yep.
And the thing about it is that I lived that. And I don't exactly know what I'm talking about because I wasn't in those meetings, but I was there on the ground. And it was the same war when I went there under Obama, and it was the same war when I went there under Trump. And I have a hard time believing any politician as a result of that.
Has this fed any of your creativity as far as musically writing? I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to ask here is that, all of us can see that, the wool's being pulled over our eyes in different ways right now.
Yeah, people aren't stupid. They just want to believe that there's an answer.
And so, like, as creatives, as artists, as producers, and also as, like, I don't know, like witnesses maybe to what's happening culturally.
Right.
We need to I don't want to say push back, but we need to make a racket. We need to bring attention. We need to, I don't know, speak truth into the chaos of BS that we're constantly being fed.
I firmly believe in the people. I believe that the people are going to be smart enough to realize that they are being divided and will eventually find common ground. And that's why this country is still around. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. The thing about it is that's what the media, this is a capitalist economy. Rating negativity sells. It's that easy. And it's so easy to do it. And it's going to be even easier to do it with AI. You have, back in the day, it was newspapers, straight to the point, and then you had maybe 3 or 4 TV stations that you used to watch back in the day: CBS, ABC, PBS, so on and so forth, whatever. Didn't have a lot of options back then, but the propaganda was still there. And the same thing is now. Now it's even easier. You have multiple platforms, you have multiple social media, whatever. That's easier than ever to disseminate, and it makes it so much easier for the people out there in JSOC who have their own propaganda department out there at MacDill Air Force Base in Florida to be able to engage in to engage in their doctrine of propaganda. It's not hard. All you need to do is put a couple buzzwords here and there, create a couple articles, just change up a couple words here and there, and then sell it to the left and the right, and keep them fighting against each other so the rich keep going to the bank.
Yeah, it's all about optics.
That's
and
all it is.
creating that story. It really is all theater at the end of the day. That's why it's called the theater of war.
Yep.
And I think you mentioned the word propaganda, and we've been harassed by propaganda our entire lives. And like literally our entire lives, because the machine got really good at making optics and showing you and me and the rest of us how to view the world, how to think about things. And I think it's really important to try to mature maybe a little bit, at least as artists, as people, and try to be aware of the fact that it isn't always what it seems.
No.
I don't know. I don't have any answers, and I know I'm not going to solve any of these problems on the Travi Wavi. But I think these are the questions that I spend time thinking about, talking about, and like you mentioned, AI, and we've got. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole too hard today, but yeah, we're the optics on that. Maybe we'll go down the rabbit hole. Okay, so 5 years ago, we were all told to reduce, reuse, recycle, use less. Right? We need to save the planet. Buy that electric car, all these kinds of things. And we've got a facility that's coming in north of Abilene, the Stargate facility, which will be pulling 1.2 gigawatts of power, which is, essentially enough power to run Texas for a period of time. It's a huge amount of, basically the power consumption is going to be 10 times more than what we're currently consuming. So, how does that work? We're supposed to save energy, we're supposed to use less and do more, but it's okay for our corporate oligarchs to build these machines that are going to require 10 times more power.
Yeah, you can't deny the facts. We do live in an oligarchy.
Yeah.
That's it. We do live in an oligarchy. That's exactly what it is. You have very few options, right? But you have many options to devalue yourself, and you have many options to splurge on and ultimately make your quality of life shittier. But when it comes to the truly valuable as determined by this capitalist economy, it's an oligarchy. You have very few corporations that control the news outlets. You have very few corporations who control the resources, and you have very few corporations who control what you're reading out there online. It's not hard. They tried fucking with it back in the day in 2017 when they did net neutrality through your internet service providers, basically telling you what you can and can't look at. Thankfully, VPNs came in, but that's beside the point. But yeah, we do live in an oligarchy. We have limited choices. The illusion of freedom has always been a thing. You have the freedom to believe that you have some semblance of freedom.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. You're allowed to believe that you're free.
You have the freedom to believe that you are truly free. Ultimately, we do live in a Big Brother society.
Yep.
Otherwise, why do we have so much money for before I go off on the tangent here, we do live in a Big Brother society, and I'm going to keep it at that. Because I've seen it.
Yep. Yep. And I don't know. I guess I'm trying to wrestle out the punk rock, the hard. Well, I don't know if I have the words for this right now, Danny. But
you're cool. It's 10. It's almost 11 in the morning.
I know. So it's like it's just I see musicians, I see artists, talk to musicians and artists all the time, and I guess I want to start like a call to arms in a way. not towards violence, but for like meaningful change can come through our voices, our performances, the way that we carry ourselves, and the way that we put new things into the world. Because it's not going to come from our governments. It's not going to come from capitalism's not going to solve the problems that capitalism has created. That's what I think. So I think it's up to us, the creatives, the artists, the musicians, the writers, the painters, etc., the dancers, and it doesn't have to be a
Special
cohesive.
shout out to the dancers, man.
That's right.
I love me some dancers and some sex workers.
Absolutely.
110%.
Absolutely.
This is a pro sex work guy right here.
Absolutely safe, as long as everyone's safe.
Safe and regulated.
But a call to arms to say, all right, what do you think about the world that's going on right now? What's your response to that? And maybe if enough of us put out our response to that, we can be inspired to find what real social change looks like, what real change looks like.
And that's a funny thing, man. Real change is completely subjective to so many different people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then people fight about it, even though ultimately I would argue that a lot of us have similar common ground and foundations.
I think so.
You know? And just change one or two words about one little thing, and you got entropy and chaos. And whoo!
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's bad because he supports this one word of this particular thing that we ultimately have the same ideas towards.
Yeah. Words are powerful.
Words are absolutely powerful. The pen is definitely mightier than the sword.
Mm-hmm.
110%.
Oh, man. So I think to highlight this whole thing, just since we're a few days away, we've got June 14th in a couple of days. We've got so many different things going on the
leader,
spectrum.
Yes.
We've got a birthday party for our dear leader.
These are my views. These are not the views of anybody else around here.
No, this is just, we're just
bullshitting
rapping here.
Yep.
With the military parade in Washington, D.C. I don't think I've ever seen that in my lifetime.
No.
I mean, maybe it has happened, but I don't think I've ever seen a military parade from the United States. I've seen it from China and North Korea and Russia. I'm sure it costs a lot of money to move tanks across the country.
Yeah, it costs a shitload of money to put something like that on.
And then the other side to this, and it's also the Army's like 250th birthday or something too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's cool. I mean, that's cool. All right, but then
it's also Flag Day.
Is it Flag Day too?
June 14th is Flag Day.
And then there's this nationwide movement creeping up called No Kings Day.
Oh yeah.
Familiar with that?
Uh huh.
I just learned that's sponsored by one of the Waltons. Put that one together. It's kind of interesting. Very interesting.
Leader of low wages.
The leader of low wages. Yeah, and government handouts.
Funny how that works, huh?
Oh man. But no kings.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, just keep your eyes peeled this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all. I don't know if you're gonna just be safe, whatever you do.
Yeah.
Wherever you go.
Yeah. Don't assault the cops.
No.
Don't do any of that stupid shit. No. Just don't.
No. Yeah. It's
And you're not gonna be a hero. I'm telling you that right now. You're gonna look like an idiot.
Our
That's beside the
governor,
point.
who I.
Fuck Greg Abbott,
I
dude,
don't really,
and fuck Dan Patrick. I don't give a flying fuck.
Yeah, those guys.
Fuck that motherfucker. He's got a big ass punchable face, both of them. But that's beside the point.
Well, $350 million in campaign contributions from the alcohol producers so that he can fight against THC.
350,000. Did you say 1,000 or million?
I might have said million. A large number. Given a large number of money by the alcohol lobbies to fight against legalization in Texas is pretty crony, if you ask me. But I thought it was interesting. I learned yesterday that Abbott's sending National Guard to San Antonio preemptively.
Well, the cool thing about it is at least he's doing it and activating them under Title 10 orders like it's supposed to happen, unlike our dear leader who sent the Marines in to California and went over Newsom's head when he has the jurisdiction to do that, by the way,
I'll be careful
as the governor, to activate them from Title 32 orders, which is inactive status, to Title 10 orders, which is active guard reserve status. That is the responsibility of the governor as it pertains to the state to activate those military personnel. Not the dear leader, that's the governor. That's Newsom's responsibility.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yep. No, I think it's a kerfuffle of proportions that we have not yet seen or experienced in our lifetime. And I don't know, honestly, everybody be safe on both sides of the demonstrations, on both sides of the aisle. More than ever, we really need to. We need that song, man. You know, we need that like new song that comes out that everyone's like, "Heck yeah, I'm feeling this. I believe in this movement."
There are multiple songs on the album coming out that address those exact things.
I can't wait to hear them. Can't wait to hear them.
It's generalizations. There's nobody named specifically.
Well, I mean that's maybe that's better for art to be a little bit more vague.
A couple
sometimes.
songs we have is called Red vs. Blue. I know a lot of people say it's not Red vs. Blue, it's the state, so on and so forth, but Red vs. Blue I think is a very general terminology that people just associate esoterically with America. And then we have another song called Deny, Defend, Oppose, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's about the healthcare system in this country, right? And we wrote these songs particularly from the standpoint of generalization and the fact that we're writing it in the case of everybody and not just trying to pick a side. Because when you start picking sides, that's when the country loses when it comes to solving major issues.
Yep.
And I am not a registered Democrat. I am not a registered Republican. I do not believe in the political system of this country. I believe in individualism and rock and roll.
Right on.
That's what I believe in.
I like that.
Because rock and roll will never let you down.
Well, what else do you want to cover as we wind down another episode of the Travi Wavi?
I got a book I'm working on right now.
Dude, tell me about that.
Yeah, I got a book I'm working on right now, and it's basically the foundation of it all is basically there's this guy. It's a rogue military guy. It's funny because got a little personal experience of that with myself. It's a rogue military guy who harvests organs on the battlefield, and he sells them on the black market at a place called the Foundry, under the guise of the overarching authoritarian regime known as the Penance. So the Foundry is the black market, the Penance is the reigning governmental regime. It takes place in kind of like 12th, 13th century-ish, kind of.
Okay.
And the guy sells organs on the black market. And it kind of just takes off from there.
Interesting.
And that one, I'm about 100 and whatever pages in right now, about 150, 60 pages in right now.
Nice.
I ran into plot holes. I ended up scrapping it and rewriting it, and I want to get that done. That'd be nice. Maybe make a series out of that. And that's going on. And then I got my poetry book that I'm trying to publish right now, too.
Cool.
And I think I'm going to just do the whole Amazon thing instead of trying to self-publish it because I just don't have any money right now, But that's there's that. And then as far as everything else, well, I'm just trying to get out of here, really.
Yeah.
Get out on the road, do the whole rock and roll thing, man.
Nice.
Straight up.
Good. Any shows coming up that you want to plug?
Yep, I already plugged the Potosi one. That's tonight from 6 to 8. Then I got the Sunhouse Brewery one. That's going to be Saturday from 4 to 6. And then I don't think I have any other shows this month. Everything else is just going to be busking around and just surviving.
Cool.
Which I've proven to be pretty good at over the last 8 years.
Keep making it. Did you get that Ovation sold?
No, nobody nobody bought my Ovation yet.
So you still have that for sale?
I still do. That Ovation's for $900 for, we call it the sentimental fee. $900 for that thing. There's a latch problem with the preamp, but it still plays just fine.
Cool. What else? Any questions for Sam, for me?
Nah, man.
Nah. Rocking and rolling?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Well, can we have you back on sometime?
Eventually.
At some point?
Yeah.
We can get some more stories to tell.
Oh, I got plenty of them, man.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Good. Well, I appreciate you being on today and being yourself and being true to you.
Not a problem.
Yep. That's pretty rock and roll. That's what we need more of. All right. Well, you guys head over to Potosi tonight for some catfish and salad. I think it's all you can eat.
Yeah, it's all you can eat. That starts at 5.
Spot. That's a great spot for music out there at Potosi Live. And Sunhouse, their 4-year anniversary will be Saturday. We'll be checking that out. And all weekend long is the Calf Festival downtown. Come on down. Come give the Majestic Coffee Shop a little bit of love. They've got some great coffee. Also, like ice cream and other sorts of cakes and delicious snacks. Sam, what am I missing? Don't know. Well, I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Thank you for watching. Danny, thanks for coming on the channel today.
No problem.
And we will catch you guys next week where I've got yet another amazing character from the storybook capital of America right here in Abilene, Texas. Signing off. Have a good one.